Alright, first I want to preface this by saying watch my video. It's called Breaking News, January 1st, 2019. Watch that video because some of the stuff that I called, with God's help, in that video are coming to fruition. They were true. Isn't that weird? Isn't that weird? Today is January 8th. This headline is from January 7th. I have to be careful to date everything because, as can be seen, this is all very fluid. Today's the 8th, January 8th. This is from the Associated Press. I do not like them. They're very liberal. This article says the U.S. troops will not leave northeastern Syria until Islamic State militants are defeated and American allied Kurdish fighters are protected, a top White House aide said Sunday. While U.S. National Security Advisor John Bolton said there is now no timetable. No timetable to withdrawing those troops. That's weird. Initially, they were going to be out in a matter of weeks. Now there's no timetable. So essentially, everything that was heard a couple weeks ago about us withdrawing from Syria, ignore that. Basically, that's what's being said here by Bolton. Bolton is the National Security Advisor. He's very hawkish. He has the white mustache, glasses. And he's over there right now. He's in Israel. Now he's going to go to Turkey. Because when we said that we were going to leave, we threw everyone off guard, the whole world, the Russians. In Syria, Bashar al-Assad is the Syrian dictator who's been killing his own people in this civil war for years now. Hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people have died. The Russians have moved in to Syria to help him. The Iranians have troops and generals, and they're building permanent military installations inside of Syria, which, well, they're trying to. Israel's been bombing them consistently. That's what's going on inside of Syria. When they talk about Kurdish forces in this article, they're talking about the Syrian Democratic Forces. Big difference between that and, quote, Kurdish forces, because there are Kurdish forces inside of Syria that are technically, even the United States lists them as terrorists. Because there's branch-offs with the Kurds. There's branch-offs. You have the YPG. That's an armed group that's inside of Syria that the Kurds control. We drew our fighters from the YPG. And then there's the PKK, the Kurdistan Workers' Party, I believe it's called. Now those are, we even list the PKK as being terrorists because they've been fighting for autonomy from Turkey. They'll fight inside of Turkey. They'll ambush troops. Well, just because the YPG happens to be Kurdish and the PKK happens to be Kurdish, they're saying the YPG is also a terrorist threat. So the Turks want to go after the Kurds. As soon as we left, they started to launch an operation. Or they put forth the notion we're about to launch an operation. One thing about Trump, he has said again and again and again and again and again, etc., throughout his campaign in 2016 and throughout his presidency, he has said, I will not broadcast what I'm going to do. Unlike Obama and even Bush to a degree, I'm not going to broadcast what we're going to do overseas. And people are like, well, he broadcasted pulling out of Syria. Well, yeah, it was a fake broadcast. He put out a floater to freak everybody out. The Chinese even are like, what's this guy doing? He's a freaking madman. The Chinese, the Russians, the Iranians, everyone's like, what the fuck? What's going on here? Again, watch the video that I made January 1st, 2019. Unlike Obama, Trump will actually listen to his generals. So even if this was a mess up, he'll sit down and he'll listen to his advisors. And I've read source material on this. He'll put a general who's pro staying there, and he'll put a general who's not pro staying there, and he'll say, convince me. And he'll have the two debate and talk, and he'll actually listen. Unlike Obama, who micromanaged everything, down to every airstrike he micromanaged pretty much. Unlike Obama, Trump will actually listen to his advisors. He'll actually listen to his generals, generally speaking. No pun intended. But I don't believe this was a slip-up. I think this was a very calculated move when we announced that we were going to leave Syria in a matter of weeks. Now suddenly, we're not leaving Syria. Our troops are going to stay there, pretty much indefinitely. Bolton said there's no timetable, and he's implying that it's conditions-based. So we're not leaving Syria after all. What did we accomplish by saying we were going to leave Syria? Well, we've established bargaining chips to use against Russia, who's in Syria. Putin's Russia. We have a bargaining chip now against them. And we can leave, we could stay. Depends what you do for us. Bargaining chip against Turkey, our supposed NATO ally, who just bought the most advanced anti-air system from the Russians that can be bought on the market, the most advanced anti-air defense system. It's called the S-400. Why is a NATO ally like Turkey buying that from Russia? Okay, so we established leverage over Russia, over Assad, the dictator of Syria, over the Iranians, who have thousands and thousands of troops, including troops from their proxy Hezbollah, that's based in Lebanon. The Iranians have thousands of troops inside of Syria, including generals, and they've been trying to build permanent military infrastructure. Israel keeps bombing the shit out of them, so I don't know how well that's going for them. The Iranians build a permanent base and Israel destroys it. Good for Israel, because the Iranians are no good. So inside of Syria, we established those bargaining chips. Russia, Assad, the Turks, even the Kurds. Like, we can do this. We'll just leave your asses. You know? And everyone's like, oh no, what's going on? What's going on? And again, nobody talked about how we have 5,000 troops inside of Iraq still. We have 5,000 troops inside of Iraq, western Iraq, blocking the Iranians from having their land bridge, the Shiite Crescent. The Iranians are trying to have a land bridge that moves from Iran through Iraq, through Syria, through Lebanon, into the Mediterranean. We have 5,000 U.S. combat troops inside of Iraq, western Iraq, to block that from happening. No one talked about that, did they? Well, now we're keeping troops inside of Syria, and let's see here. The person who led the charge on that is Lindsey Graham, Republican from South Carolina. He led the charge on getting Trump, if he did indeed slip up, to kind of get him back on track. Like I said, Trump listens. I'm sure Lindsey Graham sat down lots of some generals, some security advisors, and if Trump did slip up, he's like, you guys are right. All right. He's willing to do that. He's not like Obama. Now, Afghanistan. Remember, we were going to pull out half our troops. We have about 11,000 or so. We were going to pull half of them out. Everyone's like, oh, no. Well, guess what? Now that's being reconsidered by the United States. Apparently, we're not going to pull those troops out. It seems like, right now we are in peace talks with the Taliban inside of Afghanistan. And we threw out that floater as a bargaining chip over them. So now we have bargaining chips in Syria, and that also extends to all of our Sunni allies in the region, led by Saudi Arabia, who are afraid of Iran. Bargaining chips over them, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Oman, the Gulf states. Hey, if we want, we'll just leave. You people need to pick up some slack, throw us some money, help us keep this going inside of Syria without us having to freaking bankroll it. So it threw everybody off, and it got everyone's attention. Inside of Afghanistan, turns out we're not leaving. We're not pulling troops out at all. We just threw that out there, my opinion, because we're doing bargaining, and I've read this as well. It's a bargaining chip over the Taliban. We're currently doing peace talks with them. All this stuff was calculated. Back to the article. Trump's decision last month drew widespread criticism from allies. Okay, number one, the Associated Press, criticism from allies. Well, what about our adversaries? How about it drew widespread confusion among our enemies? And it also says that it led to the resignation of U.S. Defense Secretary Jim Mattis, which simply isn't true. He was on his way out for many months now because him and Trump clash on how we should treat our allies and how aggressive we should be with our allies in terms of getting them to pay more and do more. And I don't know the deep stuff on it, but Mattis resigned. This was the last straw for him. He was already on his way out. The newspaper's trying to make it seem like this was the reason. Everything was fine until it was thrown out there that we were going to pull out of Syria. And that's when he resigned. No. He was already on his way out. This was just the last straw. Bolton is saying that he's talking about a conditional withdrawal from Syria. And keep in mind, we're in eastern Syria, in northeastern Syria. We have built permanent military installations. We have built airstrips. We have built permanent observation post right on the front line with Turkey, with Assad's forces, with ISIS. ISIS is still in eastern Syria. Small pocket of them. And the Turks, as soon as we threw out there that we were going to leave Syria, the Turks started to get ready to go on a full-blown offensive against the Kurds inside of Syria, the Syrian Democratic Forces, who we created and who we support. They're very good fighters. It's about 50,000 strong. 90% of them are Kurds, and there's a token force of 10% of Arabs. There are objectives we want to accomplish that condition the withdrawal, Bolton told reporters in Jerusalem. He's currently in Jerusalem, and he's about to go to Turkey to put them straight. It says that Bolton, along with the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Joseph Dunford, a hardcore Marine, don't mess with him, they're going to go to Turkey. And Bolton said the U.S. wants its Kurdish allies in Syria protected from any planned Turkish offensive, a warning to be delivered to Turkey's president, the Islamist President Erdogan of Turkey. Bolton said Trump has made clear he would not allow Turkey to kill the Kurds. Bolton said the U.S. has asked the Kurds to, quote, stand fast now and refrain from seeking protection from the Russians or from Assad. So, again, the bargaining chip with the Kurds. Keep doing what we want you to do, otherwise we're going to kind of leave you to the wolves. Jim Jeffrey, the special representative for Syrian engagement, he never left, and he has a great deal of experience working with Syria, with all the regional partners that we have. So once again, it's January 8th. Breaking news. We're not leaving Syria. Big surprise. We're not leaving Syria. We're not leaving Afghanistan. We're going to stay there. Just like how things were 3 weeks ago before these announcements were made. Everything's the same, except now everybody's confused. Mainly our enemies. Russia, Iran, they're all like, what? Trump's willing to just make these willy-nilly, they think willy-nilly calls to suddenly withdraw and all this. Oh, by the way, we just sent an aircraft carrier battle group just entered the Persian Gulf. I bet Iran loves that. Anyhow, this is a broadcast. To say straight up, look between the lines. Trump said he's not going to broadcast what he's going to do, and any seeming broadcast that he says he's going to do turns out to be fake, just to freak people out. All right, stay tuned. I know this was a long one. We're going on 13 minutes, but this is what's popping. This is what's popping. We're going to stay in eastern Syria. We're going to continue to keep Iran in check. We're going to keep our boys in the SDF, the Kurdish, the Syrian Democratic Forces led by the Kurds. We're going to keep our boys safe. We're going to keep our observation posts, our permanent military infrastructure inside of eastern Syria, mostly northeastern Syria, where the Kurds are. Thanks to us, by the way. Kurds have all that on lock in eastern Syria and northeastern Syria. We're going to keep our guys there to protect them and to act as a counterweight against Iran, against Russia, and against Assad's forces, against Hezbollah, which is controlled by Iran, made and controlled by Iran, funded by Iran, trained by Iran. And also keep in mind those 5,000 troops in western Iraq. They're not going anywhere either. And then the 10,000 plus troops that we have in Afghanistan, apparently they're not going anywhere either. So keep your eyes open and peeled. Eyes open and peeled. Because things aren't what they seem. This is a new president. He's doing things his own way. All right, I'm at 14 minutes. I wonder how many people are going to watch this.